I'm now going to explain the composition project rubric. Your due date is either going to be Thursday, April 24th, if you meet on a B day, or Friday, April 25th, if you meet on an A day. The description is here, which you can read in your own time, but I want to go over the guidelines. These guidelines may change just a little bit depending on how I edit the project, but more or less they will remain the same. Your melody must be written for the right hand, which means it has to be written in the treble clef, not the bass clef. Your melody must also start and end on C, either middle C, which is right here, or the C above it, here. In other words, the very first note of your melody and the very last note must both be C. You are allowed to use only notes that are found in the C major scale, meaning only the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, which are written down here for you on the treble clef with the time signature we're going to be using. So I don't want to see any notes above this C here or below this C here. I also don't want to see any sharps or flats. You are also required to use every note at least once and to use a variety of them in your melody. Your melody has to be a certain length. I also want you to use a variety of rhythms. Your options are whole notes, half notes, dotted half notes, quarter notes, and eighth notes. If you use one eighth note, you must use another. Eighth notes must occur in pairs. So in one measure, you may either use 2, 4, 6, or 8 eighth notes. I don't want to see a single eighth note followed by a quarter note. They must occur in pairs. You may only use one whole note in your whole melody. It's up to you where you put it, but make sure you can explain your artistic choices. Most of your notes must be quarter and eighth notes. Your melody should also have a focal point that is the most interesting part of your melody. This should occur somewhere near the middle, so around measure 7, 8, 9. This can be a high note, a low note, building rhythmic motion. Your melody must move mostly by steps, or to adjacent notes, and by small leaps between notes that are close together. So, for example, generally I want my melody to move either up or down the C major scale, with some small leaps every now and then, and a big leap even ever so infrequently. Also, anytime G ends a measure, so anytime G is the last note in a measure, a C must be the next note in the following measure. And anytime B ends a measure, the closest C must be the next note in the following measure. Since you're not allowed to use the B down here, anytime you have a B, the C that follows will be this one here on the second line from the top, the second space. And your melody must be pleasing to your ear. This is subjective. Remember, we talked about what subjective means. It means it has to do with what you think. It's your opinion. But be ready to explain why. Some of us may think your melody isn't so great, and that's just how life is. But if you can explain why it's pleasing to your ear, that's what I care most about. Our class website will have more examples detailing whether or not they're good or bad based on these criteria.